Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Blyssful Life podcast. I am your host, Samantha Gregory, the self-care alchemist. I'm excited today to have my guest, Coach Danni. She is the founder of Your Workflow. And today we're going to be talking about energy management with a little twist. So welcome, Danni. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I know it's going to be a great conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So energy management, this is what I've been thinking about a lot lately because I know that when we are living our lives, especially as women, as Black women, as possibly neurospicy women, we expend a lot of energy giving to a lot of people and a lot of situations and a lot of everything. And we find ourselves at the end of the day depleted, the end of our year depleted. And as we're coming up to the end of, we're like in the last month of 2024 when this is recorded, we can look back and we can see all the places where our energy has been depleted in some way or another. And one thing that we are not taught very much is about energy management and
Mhm.
how that's an important part of self-care, especially radical self-care. But then, of course, like when you start taking back your time and taking back your energy and taking back all the things, people get a little upset.
Yes.
So I know that you literally teach people how to detox their calendar and how to get back in balance after deciding that they're not going to do the hustle and grind thing anymore. So let's talk about that. But at first, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and how you coach people. And then we'll get into the conversation.
Okay, so I am Coach Danni D, Danielle DeTeach. That's a mouthful, that last name. So I abbreviated it to Coach Danni D. And I am a work with ease coach. So I help people get to that, women specifically, get to that space where you're moving through your life. You're still experiencing success, but you're not extending all of that energy that you're talking about. So one of the ways that I do that is with the calendar detox. I also help with imposter syndrome. It's all interrelated because it's all the mindset. And then with systems. So let it be easy. Let things be easy so that we're not so frustrated and overwhelmed all of the time. So that's what I do. I am from New Orleans. If you can't pick up from that, from my accent, I am from New Orleans, born and raised, and I help people all over the world, though.
Awesome. I love that. And just coming, and we've had several conversations, and they've always been so amazing because we like literally just met 2 weeks ago, but it's like we've known each other forever. Um,
Forever. It's so
and
much commonality.
yes, so much commonalities, like you said earlier, so much synergy. And I'm always just excited to have these conversations with you because they meander, they flow, but it all makes sense. And we're like, oh my gosh, that's how I live. Oh my God, that's how I am. That's what I like. That's what things that
Yes.
we like and don't like and stuff like that. And so just to have that, I think, synergy and being able to connect with people who have the same philosophies in life and has gone through the similar maybe level up experience, not in the
Mhm.
terms of the hustle and grind and get in the bag and all that stuff. That's great. That's beautiful. I love that. But the leveling up in your taking back your power, taking back your
Yes.
energy, and
Yes.
really living a more easeful life. I love
Yeah.
that. When I say I love that, I'm all about the easy life because we've been doing it hard for too long.
It, like it's so heavy and we have to shift. We have to shift because it's not just heavy, but it's unhealthy.
Yes.
It's unhealthy and it's such a heavy burden. It's when you lose weight and your knees feel better and different.
Hmm.
Sometimes you need to lose weight in your life. You need to lose weight from that calendar. You need to lose weight from the people that you're carrying on your back.
Absolutely. So why a calendar detox? Why not a different kind of detox? So why did you hone in on that strategy?
So the reason why I calendar detox is because what I found most often was my calendar and the people that I work with calendars did not reflect the things that they said they wanted.
Mm,
Deep down, we all have some priorities that we are really invested in, whether it is we're learning something new, we want to be more connected with our families, we want to be able to travel and experience the world.
mhm,
We have all of those things that we want to do. But when you say, oh, come on, let's go fill in the blank. Oh, girl, I don't have time.
mhm,
So, where is your time going if you don't have time to focus on those priorities? And I feel like it's going to what I call obligations.
mhm.
And oftentimes, what we say are obligations are not actually obligations once we start peeling back. And we swear, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to
Right.
stop and see what happens.
Mhm, mhm,
The world will keep turning. It's that understanding that if it's not on your calendar and it's not being made a priority,
mhm,
you can't get upset when you're not getting there. Oh, I want to lose 50 pounds and you don't have going to the gym, you're not cooking those meals, you're not doing any of the things
mhm.
that are required to meet that goal, then how do you expect that magically it's going to all of a sudden happen?
It sounds more like a wish than a
Yes,
goal.
yes. And usually those wishes are the things that we hold the most important.
Mhm, mhm,
And most often ourselves are the last on the list. You're doing the things that you need to do for your spouse, you're doing the things you need to do for your kids. And then if time runs out,
mhm.
you get the short end of the stick.
That makes a lot of sense. The last week, I think, or a few days ago, the thought hit me like a ton of bricks. Is you can expect to have high quality experiences if you're living a bare minimum life. You have to,
Yes.
you can expect other people to stop giving you bare minimum if that's what you're doing for yourself. So you got to make that shift, that change, make a decision about the quality of a life that you want to live by up leveling and upgrading the quality of your own life. And I feel like this calendar detox that you're talking about that you help your clients through is like one of the very first steps to actually making that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Like people, when I say work life balance, oh, there's no such thing. Okay, there is, but the problem is one of the reasons why you're not seeing it is because first, because you don't believe that it can
Right.
exist. So you have to believe something for it to manifest, right? But the second thing is you're not giving it priority, you're not
Hmm.
giving it attention. And so if all of your goals are directed towards your business or your career,
Hmm.
all of your actions are directed towards those things, then how do you expect then to wake up and have fulfilled the other part
Right.
and manage that other part?
Hmm.
And then you have that energy issue because we discredit the amount of weight that mental load has.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Cuz you sitting up here trying to do calculus on how to get all the things done. And the reality is, you shouldn't be doing all the things.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. That, I don't know, that strikes a chord with me so much because I remember. And me being a single parent, the mental load is, I feel like, doubled because even though it's nice to have a partner, even if you have a partner, and the thought of them helping you do things is nice. It may not always happen that way with your partner,
Right.
but the absolute fact that you have to bear this load on your own is quite telling, and it is overwhelming. And when you're in that people pleasing mode and you keep adding more things to the calendar because you don't know how to say no, and because
Yes.
you want to
Yes.
please your kids and please all these other people who you're trying to prove that you can actually be this superhuman person. And not to mention the job you have to do. And at the time I was in school full time, so the class schedule and then the kids and the scheduling the childcare, scheduling your meals, scheduling
Mm-hmm.
bath time and bedtime, and scheduling extracurricular activities and all the things. So the mental load, just how am I going to just arrange all these puzzle pieces of my life and make it make sense? So
Right.
I'm able to do the things I need to do.
And I think that's why the calendar detox is so important because first you need to get rid of all the stuff that don't belong there.
Right.
Because some of it does not belong there. It like absolutely doesn't, or it doesn't have to be done by you.
Mm,
Partner or not, my child know how to wash his own clothes.
that part.
He knows how to, from when he was about 8, he could get up and fix him something basic to eat. But we feel like we have to do
Right.
all those things or it's not going to get done. And
Hmm.
we have to get to that point where it's going to get done.
That part. Yeah.
Because if my child washes those dishes and 75% of them are clean, I might have to wash a spoon before I use it, but
Right.
I
Right.
still didn't have to do the dishes.
Yes. Yeah.
And each time he does them, he gonna get better and better at it. And
Hmm.
I don't have to do that thing. So it's removing that idea that we have to do it all, that
Hmm.
we have to be the best at it all.
Hmm.
And also being honest about the fact that we get a certain secret satisfaction out of somebody saying that, oh my God, you're the best. Oh my God, you're superwoman,
Hmm.
you're super mom,
Hmm.
or how do you do all of it? We
Yes.
get this like satisfaction out of that. And I'm at this point now where I correct people when they say that, oh my God, I see you on social media. You're doing so many things, you're doing everything. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Hmm.
But it appears that way because since I've removed the things that don't matter and I'm not doing 100 projects, I
Hmm.
might be doing 10 projects, but I'm completing them all.
Hmm.
And so it's back to that mental load. It's not 100 tabs open in my brain all at the same time. It's remove that. That's not my business. It's not my problem.
Hmm.
Whomever's problem it is, I'm sure they will figure it out. And it's hard when you are a problem solver. I'm a problem solver by nature. I'm an
Hmm.
empath. It's really difficult to make that transition. But once you experience the peace of it,
Hmm. Hmm.
then it's that seems stressful. When somebody comes up with a new opportunity or
Uh-huh.
a new thing to add, I'm like, seems stressful.
Mhm.
That's not aligned with my current goals. But
Right.
thank you for thinking of me.
Hmm. And I love that because it's so important to find the ways that matter to you to say no, the
Yes.
ways that feel authentic, comfortable, but also clearly sends the message, no, that's not going to work for me. I'm not going to be able to do that. You have
Right.
to find the language for yourself. And I think a lot of times people are intimidated or afraid to say just no outright because they're going to hurt someone's feelings or what have you. But using the calendar as a prime example and reason to say no is one of the things that I've done is let me check my calendar, see what I got going on and deliberately fill my calendar up with things that matter to me and what I want to do that's for my self-care, for my mental detoxing
Yes.
and unloading, etc. Because if we try to do what everyone else does and do it the way they say no, then it could feel like you're gonna cave because it doesn't
Right.
feel right for you. So finding the right way to say no for you that makes sense, I think that's really an important thing to explore and
Yeah,
figure out.
absolutely. Especially in the beginning.
Yes.
In the beginning, because if you were already a people pleaser, if you loaded all this stuff on, it's uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
to say no in the beginning.
Right.
I think once you settle into that piece, it stopped being uncomfortable. You
Mm-hmm.
you start
Mm-hmm.
like somebody said the words come out their mouth and you automatically are like, no. One time I said no so fast I had to apologize. I had a friend, I attended this meeting with her and she asked me, did I want to join the group?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no. And then I was like, oh, that was rough.
Yeah.
let
Kind of
me let
quick.
me backtrack. No, ma'am, I'm not interested. And I explained to her why they meet
Mm-hmm.
weekly. They meet 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not a morning person. And because
Mm-hmm.
of what I do, I can't promise that I'm always be available to attend.
Right, right.
But I said that no way too fast. But
Mhm.
that was after I got so comfortable with being like it actually makes you a better decision maker.
Yes.
Once you start to settle into it, you really can feel what is aligned and what is not.
Mm-hmm.
And so when somebody presents something that you would have maybe 2 or 3 months ago thought was the perfect opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden you're not like, that doesn't fit. It's
Right.
not helping me get to any of my objectives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so important. And I just had this thought. With the rise of AI and personal assistants, wouldn't it be amazing to have some kind of, and I think there's like some versions of this, but for you to say, hey, check my calendar and see what's going on. I'm thinking about doing this, and it tells you, no, ma'am, you cannot
That
do
don't
that.
fit. They don't have anything to do with you.
Don't have anything to do with you. You cannot add anything else to your calendar. You've put your goals in. It's looked at all your goals, your intentions, and it's no, this is not something that you can
Mm-mm.
do. And you can
Like
say,
this
you know what, my
doesn't.
assistant, I checked with them. They said I can't do it.
Right. I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed.
Mm-mm.
I didn't get permission.
No.
But it really, I think that would be really cool. But it is important to have that understanding, and I think it starts with getting to the crux of what matters.
Yes,
And a lot of times we haven't done that work. And
exactly.
so
Yeah.
when we do that work, then you really start to see so and so's fourth baby shower have to do with,
Mm-hmm.
girl, here's a gift card.
Mm-hmm. I
I'm
wish you
gonna go
well,
take a
babe.
nap. Look, I'm gonna go take a nap. I mean, I love you. I'll come see the baby when the baby's born.
Mhm.
Everything does not have to have that same priority, but if nothing else, adding yourself back into your calendar.
Yes.
Because if you are not showing up there,
Mm-hmm.
that's a problem. That
Mm-hmm.
means that you are not showing up.
And you're not honoring yourself either. You created a bare minimum situation for yourself, and therefore you get the bare minimum from everyone around you because you haven't made yourself a priority on your own calendar. And
Right.
I've seen so many people, women specifically, have this elaborate calendar for the entire family that they are managing the calendar for everyone else, plus their own calendar. And it's just, what are you doing? I don't understand. This is too
Mm-mm.
much. Can't color coding and everything.
And look, I am that not that person, but I love color code and I have multiple businesses on the calendar and stuff. But one of the things that I prioritize and that I teach to my clients is creating white space. Just like in art, there is white space, and white
Yes.
space is the space for life.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I only thought about that in the negative way of life be life. And
Sure.
but there's another side to that as well. You get to have spontaneity. You
Mm-hmm.
get to call up a girlfriend in the middle of the day and say, "Girl, come on, let's have lunch today."
Uh-huh.
You get to go and take a trip. You get to do those things when you've created white space on your calendar. And my previous self, I tell this story, my husband always, when he hears it on an interview or something like that, I don't even remember that. I'm like, no, I remember this. We were getting ready for the weekend and something got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And he just said this, not even thinking. He just said, "Oh, it don't matter because you're going to put something else in its place." And
Mm.
he just said it and kept moving. But I was mad. I was ready to fight. And, but sometimes when people, what they say, hit dogs holler,
Yeah.
I, it that hit me. And but that's where I was in life at that time. And I
Right.
probably did put something else
Mm-hmm.
in its place. But we have to learn how to give space because
Mm-hmm.
life is happening. We've had a couple of conversations. I'm dealing with a death in the family, and I had to take a nap earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is a lot. I have to take a nap. I had to do not disturb on the phone for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't do that if you have this minute by minute
Yeah.
schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give yourself space to breathe and to know that things are going to happen sometimes. Maybe you got into a real good conversation and you don't want to You don't want to have to end it. You get the opportunity to be present
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's like deciding, is the calendar going to manage me, or am I going to manage the calendar? Am I going to be intentional about this? Because it's important for me to be clear with myself and with other people that my time is precious. My time has value, and I value my time. And so I'm going to be intentional about what I put on my calendar. So how do you even help your clients get to that space where they are putting themselves first and prioritizing what they put on the calendar?
first. So we go through a process, and the first stage is awareness. So just
Mhm.
figuring out, I'm big on, you got to know the root to be able to solve the problem, right?
Right. Yes.
So figuring out where you are, and then accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Because we won't act as everybody else.
Yeah.
You literally control your calendar. Nobody else is, whether you are electronic girl or you are sitting there with the pen and paper, the pen is in your hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You decide what goes on there so you can decide what comes off. And so it is really just owning that you have that power.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of times we don't think we have the power. It's just people telling us about stuff and we're just adding it like we're just our own assistant
Sure.
and
Yeah.
we're not actually a decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
But you have that power to make that decision, but also you got to own the parts of you that are getting some satisfaction
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from busyness.
Yes. Yeah. There's a reward in it.
Busyness and productivity are not the same thing.
Right.
They are
Right.
two different things. Busyness is just moving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Productivity is moving efficiently to a destination. And we skip over that efficient part. Efficient means that you're doing less, not
Mm.
more.
Right. Yes.
That's the key. You're doing too much. That's the simplest way of saying it, is that you
Right.
are doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
And, once you start to realize that you're doing too much, take a step back. And then this is something that I did for a while myself, just to transition myself. You talked about the importance of your time, the value of your time.
Mm-hmm.
I started sending friends, whoever, like when somebody asked me for my time, I sent them the same calendar link that I send my clients. It was a free link, but I sent them that same calendar link because it was a psychological thing for me and for them.
Mm-hmm.
This is one, the time that is available, and
Right.
two, understand that just like my consultations with my clients, this is taking up my valuable time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so once you start looking at it like that, it's okay. It's not, oh, that's just easy. I could just do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that easy,
Yeah.
because what are your billable hours?
Great
How
question.
long will this thing take? How much is this
Mm-hmm.
taken away from your billable hours?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's not to say that everything must have a dollar amount, but it is about value. It is about honoring the value of your own life. And I think that's where a lot of times busy women get off track, is they know how much they get paid on a job. And so that's what I don't know, that's how they calculate the value of their time. But your time is worth so much more than
Oh,
that, you
absolutely.
know. And so you have to govern yourself accordingly and make an intentional decision about how you're going to manage that time. And I love the idea of sending a link to a friend or an associate or colleague to put themselves on your calendar, because your calendar is already set. You've already got the
Yes.
days marked off that you don't want to be disturbed. You have the time blocked off that you want to keep to yourself, and you're only available during those available times.
Right. And also, what you said about the days marked off just jumped at me. Mark them days off.
Yes,
Just because you free does not mean you're available.
that part.
And we have to shift that, because we feel like, oh, I feel bad. I told that person no. And I was free. but you
Mm-hmm.
weren't available. And that's okay too. At the beginning of the quarter, I go through
Mm-hmm.
and I block my days.
Mm-hmm.
I block my days, and those days are non-negotiables.
Mm-hmm.
And so I block those days. And another thing I wanted to add was like you said about the value of your time. Another way I look at it is I've had a client want something on a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hit a big dollar amount for
Right.
me to sacrifice my time with my family.
Mm-hmm.
So my time with my family has this rank.
Yes.
And if I'm gonna break up my day with them to go
Mm-hmm.
do this, it's got to be really worthwhile. And nine times out of 10, it's just not an option.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been rare exceptions. But you have to get to that point as well, is that
Mm-hmm.
this thing may not seem like a big deal, or it may
Mm-hmm.
seem like some money in your pocket,
Mm-hmm.
but is it dishonoring something else that
Right.
you've said is a priority?
Absolutely.
And what is that worth?
The scene from a movie that I think a lot of people have seen is from the Five Heartbeats when Red was telling the guy, "What are my hours?" And he was the guy was hanging from his feet over the balcony. He was like, "What are my hours? 9 to 5 from blah 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 to blah blah blah." And he was scared of man so bad. And so I think we have to even get that attitude. What are my hours? You have to first set your hours, again, availability, and then stick by that and be very
Yes.
adamant about that and not break your own rule or vow or intention for someone who decides they want to just bust in on your life and start dictating what you will and will not do with your time. And just send them a clip. What are my hours? They're from.
Oh, what I know is that people will play with you as much as you allow them to.
Absolutely. Yes.
They will
Yes, they
play with you
will.
as much as you allow them to. I literally said, I am not taking any phone calls today. I'm going to work on X, Y, and Z. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not taking any phone calls. I have been called 4 times,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
and it has gone to voicemail 4 times
Mm-hmm.
because I am going to respect my boundaries, whether you do or not. But we have to do that because people will do what is best for them,
Mm-hmm.
even if you have expressed that it is a problem for you. And
Right.
so we have to learn to get comfortable with that. And I know a lot of us are conflict averse, but
Mhm.
you got to be able to stand up for you.
Sure. Absolutely.
You
Yes.
have to, it's something to learn, but you have to be able to do that. So
Mhm.
that's a part of it as well. Just as far as like energy, sometimes that's what's really messing up your day is not the fact that you had too many things to do, is that you're frustrated because your energy is being placed where you don't want it.
Absolutely. That, and you're just drained, depleted. And then if you have a day where it's a heavy day of peopling, of going from meeting to
Oh,
meeting and from
Jesus.
interacting with so many people, solving problems, even though we are problem solvers and we love to do that, when you get to the space where you are like it's a run-on problem that you're trying to solve on multiple days, that is too much.
Yes.
And figuring out like you may or may not teach your clients about calendar blocking and
Mm-hmm.
having that time to do
Yes.
work, having that time to have meetings, having the time to decompress. And I even have this app on my calendar. Whenever a meeting is scheduled, it's an automatic decompress time after each meeting.
That I love
Yeah.
that.
And that's important, especially for me, because it helps you transition from that meeting to the next thing that you have decided to
Right.
do. Not the thing you got to do or somebody's forcing you, the thing you decided.
To do. Correct.
And I think you can adjust the time. So mine is like 15 minutes, but you can
Mm-hmm.
adjust it up or down to make sure you have that decompress, that you can breathe, that you can just take a time to close your eyes and forget or get up and walk or go get a snack or something that kind of breaks up that I got to be in work mode period process.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I'm an introvert. So if I know I'm doing something that's super extroverted, I'm doing something behind the scenes the next day.
Absolutely.
I need a minute. I people just today,
Mhm.
tomorrow is got to be something different. So that's how I look at it. And I was joking with a friend recently. I said I planned November like an extrovert. I did not
Mm.
like. I'm like, this was not on brand at all.
Mhm.
And I felt it. There were points where I was just like, oh, Jesus, this is not working. But I also tell people, like, sometimes you do have busy seasons.
Right.
So usually for me, May is a busy season. I know it going into it. But again, if you have that plan in place,
Hmm.
I know like that first 2 weeks of May is going to be hard hitting.
Sure.
That third week of May, oh, I'm about to go get somebody's massage. I'm going ghost. Y'all gonna be looking for me. It's like I'm like, I did it, it's done, and now I'm going to rest. And so
Hmm.
it's creating that balance as well of like you said, like that rest after a meeting. I
Hmm.
rarely do like back to back anything
Hmm.
because I hate that feeling of feeling rushed and I can't be
Hmm.
present in the space that I'm in.
And I think even too honoring, like you said, you're not a morning person, but honoring those natural body rhythms and time frames that you feel most productive, when you feel most available, most energized, so that you're
Yes.
customizing your day.
Yes.
You're cultivating the experience for the day based on the energy level that you have. And for me, I know that I get my best work, productive work done in the morning, and then in the afternoon, meetings, because that way I know I don't have to worry about doing a task or doing some really important work after a meeting. Because after meetings, my brain is just gone. I don't even
That's
ask
it.
me to do
Look,
anything, nothing,
that's it.
because my brain literally feels like mush after a.
No, I totally agree. And I agree with that. Creating a schedule that works for you. People say, oh, the early bird gets the worm. This early bird ain't getting nothing.
There are other worms throughout the day.
They look, I get the late worms. I don't know. I
Right.
get the nighttime worms, but I know that I certain things I can do when I get up in the morning, and I'm gonna be really good at those things, those specific tasks. Most times I don't stay up late like this all of the time, but if I stay up all night,
Mhm.
oh, trust me, a course has been created, a book has been written, this like that is my zone. I don't do it all the time, but when I do it, something is like birth
Mhm.
from beginning
Mhm.
to end. I'll have friends that are like, you were just talking about that yesterday. Like you just put it out
Just
today. And
did
I'm
it.
like, had a moment, I
Right.
embraced it, and I got it done.
Mhm.
But you learn how I call them cheat codes. Learn your cheat codes. Learn the things that are unique to you and that work for you because
Mhm.
we get frustrated also because we're trying to fit what doesn't belong to us. And like with time blocking, I have a events business and when people hear that I don't do like phone calls, clients calling in, most of my clients are corporate so they prefer
Mhm.
emails. But if I'm going to do a phone consultation, it's scheduled
Yes.
because the introvert in me does not like to talk on the phone. So that's thing
Mhm.
one. Thing two, just like you said about meetings, that it throws off
Yes.
the flow of my day. So I might be in the middle of something and then you just randomly call.
Right.
And then now I got to drop everything and switch into that gear. I don't do
Mhm.
that well.
Mhm.
My husband says, every time you get on the phone, you're excellent. I'm like, that's great. But it gives me a whole lot of internal turmoil
Yes.
to be
Yeah.
that person.
Mhm.
So I schedule it. So I'm like, okay, this time is on this day. I know I have a call with this person as opposed to, and then I don't like when you're randomly on a call, somebody's asking you questions and you're trying to process it. It's too much. It's too much.
Mhm.
I do what works for me.
Right. Yeah.
And everybody has to do that and find that because we want to copy what the next person is doing, but they taking a different test than you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that goes even to a deeper level of self-awareness and knowing who you are so that you can know when are my peak moments, when is my energy high, when is my energy low, what kind of meetings do I like? Do I like video meetings? Do I like phone calls? Do I like in-person meetings? And if you don't know those things, then it's harder for you to create the calendar and the lifestyle that you truly want so that you can find the balance because
Yeah.
work-life balance is not the same, it doesn't look the same for everyone.
Mm-mm.
A mother's work-life balance and a golfer's work-life balance or whomever is
You
so
know,
different.
it's different. Yeah. Even two mothers.
Yes.
Because you might be the class mom
Mm-hmm.
and somebody else is the, I'm about to drop y'all off at the bus stop and I, get there.
You better take these cupcakes and on into that.
Right. We about to swing by Walmart and get these
That part.
cupcakes. And
Right.
somebody else is sitting up there making them from scratch. It's different people, different priorities. No,
Mhm.
no wrong.
Yes.
But do the thing that makes sense to you. But
Hmm.
I would say not, no, again, no judgment. I'm not a mom guilt sort of person. But girl, them Walmart cupcakes gonna be all right.
Mm,
Like if you already at the point that you don't have time, trust me, them children gonna lick the icing off of whatever cupcake it is.
that part.
You're not a bad mom if you don't sit there and make
Hmm.
those from scratch. Now, if that's what you love to do,
Hmm.
that's a different conversation. Like I know some people don't like to cook or do whatever. I love it. That's my happy space. When I'm most balanced, I am cooking.
Hmm.
So if you see me posting something I cooked today, that means that I am in alignment.
Hmm.
Everything is everything.
Right.
That is one of my signals that I
Hmm.
know that everything is going well. The next person, that might not be your thing. Go get that takeout.
That part. Yes.
Get the takeout and go sit and put your feet up and read a book or whatever it is that you enjoy doing. So
Hmm.
it's nothing wrong with enjoying things that may not be the thing that somebody else is doing, or you don't have to check the boxes that
Right.
somebody else is checking.
Absolutely. And that makes so much sense. And I think that as you come into more self-awareness and what is it called? Self-advocacy, then you'll be able to take these steps that we've been sharing in this episode and apply them. But if you
Mhm.
struggle with that, then you might need to start from the elementary space of who are you?
Right.
What's your
Yes.
temperament? What's your introversion, extroversion? Where are you on that scale? What are your energy? You really going through that self-discovery process is so crucial so
Yes.
that you can
Yes.
decide, figure out, and apply these concepts to your unique, beautiful life.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, self-discovery is to me is the core of everything. Like every program, everything starts there
Yes.
because you can't build off of a faulty foundation. And so
Right.
a lot of times we just is trying to we want to just start,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't want to peel back who am I? Because most of us have built a life that ain't really ours.
That, that part. A
You
life
know,
on a lie, basically.
yeah, and you like living in it, it look real cute from the outside, and on the inside, you like, this can't
Mm-hmm.
be it. I don't know that the demographic age group of your listeners, but I feel like once you start hitting that 35, 40,
Mm-hmm.
you start thinking about things and you're like, wait, hold up.
Right.
I gotta keep going like this.
Mm-hmm. But some,
And you start questioning. That's when you start having all of those questions of this can't be it.
mm-hmm.
This is
Cannot.
not the plan.
This is not the answer. I don't want this anymore. Take it back.
Because you don't have to continue to live like this. If you don't take anything else from it and don't, I think the one thing I struggled with, and I think a lot of people struggle with, is just because you are quote unquote happy
Mm-hmm.
does not mean that there is not more.
Yeah.
There is joy, there is fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a bad life before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things were good, but it was just something that was missing.
Yes.
And it was me.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was me.
Yes.
It was absolutely me because I was taking on all these roles.
Mhm.
I'm yelling at people because they socks on the floor. I was in this like hyper project management mode
Mhm.
of life, but I wasn't dealing with my own stuff. I wasn't
Right.
dealing with making myself a priority. I wasn't a part of the project. I was just the
Mhm.
manager.
Wow. And that is so crucial. That's key. That is such a wake-up call for hopefully people who are listening, because if you're not even a part of the picture and you're just in the background, you're just navigating and being a marionette master for everything else, but you are not experiencing all the beautiful things that you're creating for other people, what's the whole point? Like, really, what's the point?
And then you get resentful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you mad at everybody else because you're not receiving what you're giving. It's just a tough situation, but it's a situation that we got to realize that we have orchestrated and we are
Hmm.
maintaining.
Right.
And like for me, my rock bottom, I lost my grandmother, and the people closest to me had no understanding of how to take care of me
Mm-hmm.
because they never had to.
Yeah.
And it was painful because it was like, I can see them trying, I can
Mm-hmm.
see the desire, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But I had never allowed them to take care of me. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I needed it, they were like scrambling, trying to figure it out.
Right.
And I didn't take that. Like sometimes when I say that, people think, oh, it's them. No, it's me. That was
Mm-hmm.
100% me because
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't that they wouldn't have, it wasn't that they didn't want to, but I never gave them the space to do that
Mm-hmm.
because I was the responsible one. I was the one that was supposed to make sure everybody else was okay. And so in that moment, I was like, I have to do better.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I have to break this wall down and I
Mm-hmm.
have to understand that only by the grace of God did I pull myself out of that situation. What if I did not have the tools to pull myself out of that situation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is quite the wake-up call to see that people around you can't even help you because you've not made the space for the support that everyone deserves, every woman needs and deserves. But because we wanted to be the one in control at the wheel and making everything work,
Mm-hmm.
resentment and all, then we set ourselves up for failure. We set
Yeah.
ourselves up for disappointment and resentment and all the things because we simply have not cleared and made the space for our needs to come first.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So before we go, because this podcast is really geared toward radical self-care. So how do you schedule self-care? What are your thoughts and ideas about it? And we talked about blocking out time, we talked about managing the workload, et cetera, et cetera. But what about creating sustainable self-care moments in your calendar? What would you suggest?
So first, I'm gonna start with the easy, the superficial, right?
Sure.
I'm a balloon decor artist.
Mm-hmm.
It requires a lot of physical work. I got a standing appointment with my massage therapist.
Mm-hmm.
That's on the calendar. That's going to be on the calendar. Make sure that's in your budget and make sure that it's on your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like to read, but you never say you have time to read? Put that on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have reading time on this afternoon. The thing that we were talking about earlier about being mindful of transitions
Mm-hmm.
and putting that space there for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes meetings run over.
Yeah.
Sometimes you thought it was going to take you an hour to do this thing and it ended up taking you two. Don't pack that calendar in a way that you don't have time to walk away when you need to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
And when you need to walk away and you recognize it, make sure you take the time. Even if you got to call somebody and say, I'm going to be 5 minutes late for this meeting. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to, whatever it is, sometimes we can't take a day off, but you can go take 30 minutes or you can go take a minute if it comes to it. and just do some breathing exercises to make
Hmm.
sure that you're back centered and that you're not continuing to just pack on.
Right.
So that would be it for me. And then and I'll share this link with you. I have a like a thing of things that you should be scheduling
Okay. Hmm.
for the month. A day when you go just have a lunch with your girlfriends.
Hmm.
Time just by yourself. I was sharing with you the other day about my 10 minutes in the morning for my tea. I
Hmm.
during that time is no nothing, no noise, no nothing. It's just me and my tea and my thoughts.
Hmm.
And that's something small. It doesn't always have to be a huge thing,
Hmm.
but do those small things on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And then you'll keep that center. Go for a little walk, split your lunchtime up and do luncheon and a walk.
Hmm.
Connecting with nature is like phenomenal. If you're not a person that does it, you should try it. It's just
Hmm.
sometimes I've been stuck on something and I go take that walk. And while I'm walking, I'm like, oh, you change your space, you give yourself that opportunity to kind of
Hmm.
open up. So I think it's just, to me, it's more the little things, but don't be afraid to put the big things as well. Like I do for both of my businesses and myself, I do quarterly retreats.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be as you grow, you can make it as big as you want to.
Sure.
For right now, I just lock myself in the office. I make me some cute little snacks on a little charcuterie board and
Hmm.
get my tea going and some music. And I've created an agenda and that's what I'm doing today. Do not disturb, not talking to nobody. I'm just doing that. But
Hmm.
do it for yourself as well because you need to reflect on self and you need to make sure that you are scheduling time, whether it's to journal or whatever, just to be about you.
Hmm. That's beautiful. I love that. There's this app called it's Resort something, but you can schedule a day. It's a day pass for hotels, like luxury hotels.
Mm,
And you're not paying an arm and a leg. You don't have to stay overnight. You go, you spend the day there. And what an amazing retreat that would be for
yes.
yourself at a for nominal price at a and have a luxury experience and have lunch there, have whatever you want to do, and it's just so beautiful. And I think if we did that more, especially as busy women, I think we integrate more bliss into our lives. And then
Hmm.
not just that, at the end of that experience, you have an amazing plan for your business so that you can thrive more, you can expand more, you have more capacity because you now have made room for yourself on your calendar.
Yes. I always say you cannot dream if you never go to sleep.
Mm.
You need that. You gotta have that balance. And when you go, a lot of times you're not going anywhere.
Hmm.
And you don't realize it because you're too busy to see that you're just going in circles.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. This has been an amazing conversation, a really crucial, important conversation. Calendar detox coupled with energy management and how those two things are foundational to creating the kind of life that you want to live,
Yeah.
to integrating more self-care into your life, making sure that you understand self-care is a lifestyle and it's
Yes.
not just a random thing that you do every now and then because you're feeling so overwhelmed with life that you need an escape. No, this is a daily escape, a daily nurturing of yourself. And so I love that we got a chance to have this conversation, Coach Danny D. I love that you shared so many good nuggets with us, but I know you also have an offer that you want to share with our audience too. So tell us about that and tell us where we can find you online.
First, you can find me online at coachdannyd.com because I will forget once I start talking. And as far as the offer, so I alternate between my two challenges, and the calendar detox challenge the next round will be coming up in February. And so I'm offering your listeners a discount code so that they can get 200 off of that challenge. So it's a 30-day challenge. Most of the modules are like 15 minutes or less
Mhm.
so that you can, because you're still busy, so that you can work them in to your schedule. And then we do weekly coaching calls so that we can work through some of the stuff. Because once you start uncovering, and it's you have those moments where you're like, wait, hold up.
Hmm.
Was it me all the time? Was it my? So we work through those stumbling blocks and really gets you to a place where you're starting to feel that alignment and you're starting to ease up that calendar.
Absolutely. And we'll have all that information in our description below. Please make sure you click on the link, join the challenge happening. The next one is happening in February. Go to Coach Danny D's website so that you can learn more about who she is, what she does, how she can help you create an easeful life. Because we are all about the ease right now. We're all
Yes.
about ease and bliss and flow and really creating a life that you truly enjoy and that you really want to live. So thank you again. And do you have one last thought, one last maybe mini challenge for our listeners before we sign off?
The mini challenge I'm going to give, if you do nothing else, I want you to go through, look at that calendar right now. And I promise you, there's something, especially after this conversation, that you know needs to come off.
Hmm.
And so take the band-aid off and cancel that thing that
Hmm.
you know needs to come off the calendar and see how much white space you can create. That's one of my favorite things to do. I know it's like weird, but I like start contacting clients like, are you in or are you out? So that I can, I'm like, okay, let me pull it off because that just frees your mind. It's both emotional and physical clutter. So let's alleviate some of that. So pick at least one thing that you can remove from your calendar.
Excellent. So, okay, you've heard the challenge. Look through, take one thing off, and create more white space in your calendar. That's our challenge for today and for the rest of your life, hopefully. And you'll expand on that. And so it's
Yeah.
not just a one-time thing, but it's a consistent, deliberate thing that you do for yourself. So I appreciate you for listening to this episode of the Blissful Life podcast, where we help burned out women transform their lives from burnout into bliss. My name is Samantha Gregory, the self-care alchemist. Please be sure to this episode, leave a review or comment, and please absolutely subscribe so that you can get more great content like this, more self-care strategies, so that you can create the blissful life that you deserve. Take care. We'll talk to you again next time.